Hey, and welcome to the Go the Distance podcast series. My name is Sadie, and you can find my social media links at milehighradio.com/go-the-distance. Thank you to Lynn Burnett and Mile High Radio for making all of this possible. Today's topic is about faith. This episode is part 3 of a mini-series about 3 words I choose to live my life by. Please check out my episodes Serenity and Finding Passion to hear more about the other 2 words that I've chosen, and also a little bit of information on how I came about choosing 3 words to live my life by. You can find these episodes and all of my previous episodes at shows.pippa.io/go-the-distance. Faith can mean so many things. It's most commonly referred to in a religious way, but it means so much more than that to me. So faith in God is an important part of having a relationship with Him because you can't see God. You just have to believe He's there without physical proof or evidence. And sometimes it's hard to keep faith because things don't go the way that you want or the way that you plan or the way that you think they should. And part of maintaining that relationship with God is trusting in His plan and His visions for your life, because if you're not able to see the bigger picture, it's hard to understand why you're going through what you're going through. But by choosing to have faith and believing that no matter what, God's got your back and God has a plan and He is working towards something much bigger than you even can know or understand, you're allowing yourself the opportunity to be positive and to see that sometimes things don't go the way that we want and sometimes things work out a little bit differently, but it doesn't mean that it's any worse or any better off. It just means that you're going to gain more from the experience than what you expected, and you're going to gain different things from the experience than what you expected. Faith in God is really important because, like I said, there's no physical proof or physical evidence, and it's something that we need to just feel and believe inside of ourselves, and to accept that even though there's no proof or evidence, it's still true, and it's still that God does still exist and that He does have a plan for our lives. And it's important to keep that faith and to keep those positive thoughts, because in order to keep moving forward, we need to realize that we're not in control and that we don't always have the power to make things happen the way we want them to happen. So faith can also mean just believing in yourself and what you want to aspire to and what you want to accomplish. And by keeping faith in yourself and in what you're doing, it keeps you moving forward. It keeps you going the distance. When I chose my 3 words, I made a commitment to myself to always have faith in what I'm doing and to believe that I can accomplish what I set my mind to. By doing this, I've had a huge impact on my motivation, because I chose to believe in myself and my goals. I'm able to find a way to make it happen. When I have the motivation to do something, I can continue to problem solve through any trouble I'm having to accomplish the goal. I try my best not to get discouraged when things don't work out the way that I want them to. I remind myself, if it doesn't work out, then there's something else that's meant to happen or another way to get there. That discouragement is sometimes really hard to deal with, because sometimes we get our hopes up and we really think that, I'm working towards this. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to do. And then when we get there, it doesn't quite look the same as how we wanted it to or how we pictured it. And that can be a hard feeling to deal with. And the disappointment and the discouragement that comes with having faith is a part of the process, and you just have to keep believing that there's a greater purpose, and that what you're doing isn't, it's not a waste of time, it's not a waste of energy. Whatever you're going through it for a reason. Life's about learning lessons, and whatever you're going through is part of the lesson that you need to learn. And maybe you're learning that lesson now because there's something coming up that if you haven't learned that lesson, you might not be successful. By choosing to accept that and to continue moving forward and to not give up on your goals and your dreams, you're allowing yourself the opportunity to continue towards success instead of shutting down and feeling discouraged and disappointed. And it's easy to get caught up, like I said, in those negative emotions because we invest so much into what we think or what we expect or what we plan. But it's important to kind of take time to self-reflect and to look back and say, well, maybe right now I don't know why this isn't working out, but I'm just going to keep going and things will fall into place and things will make sense. And generally it takes time for these things to happen. When you look back in the moment, when you're in the moment, you can't really look back at it because you're still in the midst of it. But when you have some time and when you kind of move on to something else and then look back to the trials and tribulations you were going through before, you're able to see that, oh, this happened because of that, and this set me up for success in this area of my life because now I'm able to better deal with this emotion or this situation or this problem, or now I have a better way to problem solve what I've been going through. No matter what path life takes us on, no matter what trials our journey present us with, we need to have a strong belief in what we're working towards, and we need to know and remember that we're working towards something bigger, and the hard parts are the parts that we learn from and that make us stronger. We don't get tested in life on what skills we have already mastered. We get tested in life to learn something new and to build new skills. I just heard that on a movie that I watched last night, and it's so true. Once you've proven that you are capable of doing something, you generally don't get tested on it after that. It just becomes a part of who you are, and it becomes a part of your way of being. When you're working on gaining skills and when you're working on learning a new ability or a new topic or what have you, that's when you're being tested. And that's when it's like, well, why am I being tested? I'm not very good at this. Well, that's why you're being tested, because you're not very good at this. You need to be able to be successful and to keep trying, and life will keep presenting the same lesson to you over and over and over again until you're able to learn the lesson that you need to learn. That lesson's not going to go anywhere until you've learned it, until you've figured it out. By having faith in what you're doing, that what you're doing is for the right reasons, and that it's meant to happen, it gives you the strength to keep moving forward and to go the distance. We all have hard times in life that test us, and how we react is how we define ourselves. Sometimes we react before we actually give it any thought, and we allow our emotions to drive our reactions. And it's important to slow down and allow ourselves time to process what's happening and to choose a reaction to this situation instead of just allowing those emotions to drive how you handle it. We get so caught up in the emotions that we forget to reflect on how we're causing others to feel and how we're, causing ourselves to feel. Sometimes we get so caught up in those emotions that we forget that we're causing someone else to feel pain or suffering. And sometimes we make mistakes and that causes us to lose friendships or relationships. But the important part about mistakes is that a mistake isn't really a mistake until you choose not to learn from it. And you can always make corrections and learn from, take a mistake and turn it into a learning opportunity, just by having faith in yourself and believing that no matter what, you can be the person you want to be. Sometimes I say things that are unkind, or sometimes I do things that are unkind or mean and or inappropriate or unexpected, and those things have an impact on the people around me. But by having faith that I can learn from it, I can take a look at the situation after it's happened and reflect on it and think to myself, oh, how could I have handled myself differently, or how could I have reacted better to that person? But if you don't have faith in better things, you just accept things as they are, and in that sense, it's easy to just let it go and to not learn from it. And that's when a mistake really becomes a true mistake, because you're not accepting responsibility for it and you're not choosing to make a difference for the next time. Mistakes are a part of life, and they're an opportunity for growth and development. Making a mistake is not a failure. True failure is when you choose not to learn from what we've done. It's so important not to get discouraged and to keep going the distance. There will always be people who oppose what you're doing, who, they'll be happy to see you down, or glad that you're giving up, or happy that you're giving in. And by doing so, by being down and giving up and giving in, you're giving them what they want. But by having faith that you'll find a way to make your dreams come true, or to accomplish your goals, or to get to where you want to go, you can show those who doubt you that they won't win and that they will not be successful in derailing what you're trying to do. You can show people that even if they put this hurdle in front of you and try to stop you and set you up for failure, if you just have faith that no matter what, you'll find a way and you'll make it happen, that's how you can have success. Because where there's a will, there's a way, and that's so true. I've spoken about this before. There's a term in psychology called the self-fulfilling prophecy. And basically what it means is what you believe about yourself is true. And I've seen this happen not only in my life, but in other people's lives. When somebody says to themselves, oh, I can't do that because da-da-da-da-da, that's generally true. Is it Aristotle who said, those who believe they can and those who believe they can't are usually right. And that is so true in life, because what you set your mind to and what you choose to work towards and how you choose to do it, that is your way of doing it, and that's how you'll get it done. But if you choose to be discouraged and to give up, then that's what's going to happen, is you're going to give up and that goal will fizzle out and you won't continue working towards it because you've put it aside, you've put it on the back burner, and you've chosen to move on to a different way of a different task or a different goal or what have you. Faith is so important for success because it provides a positive light into the future, and it allows us to keep believing even when we feel discouraged and like there's no way to make it through. By having faith, we can set ourselves up for success, because if you have faith it's going to happen and it doesn't work out the way that you wanted it to, it doesn't mean that that's it. It just means that the way that you've attempted to accomplish that goal this time just didn't work. And it doesn't mean that there's no way. It just means the way that you have tried wasn't the right way. And kind of like I said at the beginning of the episode, maybe it's because you need to learn how to problem solve for something in the future. Maybe by making the mistake now and by learning from it now, you're setting yourself up for success later so that you don't make that mistake when it really counts and when it's really important. Because when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. The lemonade's pretty sour, so you also got to go out and get some sugar to sweeten it a little. You don't have to just accept things as they come for what they are. You can take it and learn from it and grow and use that to still get yourself to where you want to be and where you want to go. Another meaning to the word faith is in a relationship sense. We often talk about faithfulness to our partner. When you enter into a relationship, a monogamous relationship, you're choosing to only commit yourself to that one person. And some people lose faith in their partner and they seek filling those emotional needs with another partner and another person. And that part of the word faith is, I don't have a ton of experience with that, but I know that for some people that they struggle with remaining faithful to their partner. And I think it's, like I said, making mistakes is part of life, but it's also important to learn from them. If you consistently enter into a relationship with someone and find that you're not having your emotional needs met and you go and seek them elsewhere and you end up hurting the person you're in a relationship with, and if you just keep repeating this pattern and if you choose not to learn from each time you make the mistake, then you're just perpetuating the problem. But if you're able to look at it and say, hey, this keeps happening. I get into a relationship, I get comfortable, and I start seeking the excitement somewhere else. Well, I heard a quote once, and it was from a man who was I think he'd been married like 70 years or something like that. And he said, the trick to staying married into old age is to fall in love over and over and over again, and not with someone else, with the same person. He said that he falls in love with his wife every day, and he finds ways to meet his emotional needs with his wife as opposed to in other situations. And it's so important for people to realize that when you choose to be in that relationship with a person, that's a commitment that you've made. And if you make a mistake and you go back on your word, you just need to be honest. And I feel like honesty is the best policy because it allows people to understand the situation and to accept what's happened. And the other hard part about being honest is that you then give the control to the other person. So if someone was unfaithful to their partner and they're honest, their partner now has the control to decide if they want to continue that relationship or to move on. And if they choose to move on, that can be hard for the person who was unfaithful because they didn't want that to happen and they didn't, necessarily want to lose that person. But the choices that we make impact other people, and we need to honor ourselves and our commitments. We need to be honest. And I think when people make mistakes, it's really hard to be honest because you don't know how that person's going to react and you don't know how they're going to feel, and you can't control that, and that lack of control is intimidating. But it also helps us grow, and by having that faith and by trusting that by being honest, you're doing the right thing and such, the next time then you're kind of forced to feel those emotions, and you're forced to process how it's made that other person feel, or how it's made you feel, or how it's impacted other people. And so for the next time when you go into that situation, as you're going through it, you're going to recall all of this emotional feelings that you had during the last time that happened, or the last mistake. And in a way, you're allowing yourself to be a little bit more successful, because maybe in the moment you might think, oh, wait, no, I am gonna, choose to wait till I get home, or wait till I see my partner, and I'm gonna be faithful. And if you just brush it off and move on to the next relationship and just do the same things again, you haven't learned from it, you haven't processed, and you haven't created a space in your mind where you can make choices that aren't so painful for not only yourself but for the other person. Because the reason when we're unfaithful, the reason we lie is because we don't want to hurt not only the other person, but we don't want to lose that person. We don't want to hurt ourselves. And by being dishonest and by trying to hide that, we're just avoiding dealing with the problem. And the problem is just going to keep happening again and again in our lives, and maybe not in the same way, and maybe not with the same people, but life lessons keep presenting themselves until you learn from it. And that's part of life. And some people get so stuck because they can't accept the results of what they've done, so they choose not to learn from it. They choose to just throw that away and start over. And it makes it difficult for people to learn and to grow, because the emotions are so hard to deal with and so strong that sometimes it just feels easier to let it go and to not really process it and to not really think about it. But that's also how we keep hurting ourselves, because each time you make the mistake, it doesn't make it any less painful for yourself or for other people. And we need to be able to see how we're affecting others, and see how those other people are being affected by our behavior or impacted by our behavior. So by having faith in yourself, having faith in others, having faith in God, having faith in your choices and your beliefs and what you do and what you want, you're also learning and accepting that things don't always go the way you plan, and things don't always work out the way you want it to. But if you just keep believing and you just keep trying, no matter what, things will work out. And in the heat of the moment, in the thick of it, it's hard to keep believing. Sometimes we get discouraged and we get disappointed, and that's when it's really hard to keep ourselves motivated. But when we just keep pressing on and keep being true to ourselves and true to the commitments that we've made and true to our beliefs, and you need to be also true to your emotions. That saying, like, trust your gut, is so true. And if you feel something inside of yourself, you have to trust that. You have to go with that. If something doesn't feel right, then it's not right. And just because you've been telling yourself for so long it was right, and maybe it was right for all that time, and suddenly something changes and it becomes not right anymore, that doesn't mean that, life's over, or that you can't find another way, or that you'll never be happy again. You need to believe that whatever you're going through is for a reason. And when you reflect back and see that you've had success in some parts of what you've just done, but then there was something that, you know, you didn't want to be unsuccessful with, or you didn't think it would work out that way. It's not over. It's just a chance to start again. It's a chance to try something new, or to gain something new, or to grow in a different way, and to become somebody more closely in line with who you want to be and how you want to be. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Remember to go the distance, because life doesn't stand still.